We are demystifying the System Development Lifecycle, or the SDLC. We'll be using a super clean, highly organized whiteboard approach so you can visualize exactly what you need to know to maximize your score. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll set the context with the accountant's role. Then we'll walk through Phase 1, planning, Phases 2 and 3, analysis versus design, Phase 4, testing, Phase 5, conversion, and finally, Phase 6, controls.
Kicking things off with context, the accountant's role, and exactly why finance needs IT.
Let's just address the elephant in the room right away. I hear this from my students all the time. You're probably thinking, hey, I'm studying to be an accountant, not a software engineer. And you know what? Your feelings of being totally overwhelmed by IT jargon are completely valid. It honestly feels like a different language sometimes.
But here's the reality of modern finance. You, as future management accountants, are absolutely critical stakeholders whenever your company rolls out a new ERP system or an automated module. The ICMA tests your understanding of the SDLC because you are the ones who have to ensure these massive projects actually meet business requirements. You're keeping them on budget, and most importantly, you're the ones ensuring those critical internal controls don't just vanish into thin air.
Moving right along to Phase 1 planning, where we define scope and feasibility.
Look, every new system starts with either a nagging problem to solve or a shiny new opportunity. In this very first phase, project teams have to define the scope by weighing the project against the 5 pillars of the TELOS framework. TELOS stands for technical, economic, legal, operational, and schedule feasibility. Basically, you're asking, do we have the tech? Do we have the money? Is it legal? Can our operations handle it? And do we actually have the time to pull this whole shebang off? Now, here is a massive tip for your exam. Examiners love, and I mean literally love, to test economic feasibility. Why? Because this is our turf. We're the accountants doing the cost-benefit analysis. We're the ones evaluating direct costs, like software licenses, and indirect costs, like the productivity we lose during training, against all those qualitative and quantitative benefits. If a project just isn't economically feasible, it is literally our job to slam the brakes before precious capital goes down the drain. Next up, Phases 2 and 3, analysis versus design, or as I like to call it, the what and the how. Okay, assuming our project gets the green light, we hit these 2 crucial stages. To keep this super simple for your exam, just remember this one rule. Analysis defines the what, and design defines the how. During systems analysis, you're gathering user requirements. So if your finance team needs a system to spit out specific GAAP or IFRS reports, that's the what. If you don't write that down here, the final system won't do it. Systems design then takes those requirements and figures out exactly how to build it, mapping out the physical hardware, the security architecture, and the logical data flows. Which brings us to Phase 4, testing, where we validate the development. Once that design is locked in, the programmers finally get to work writing the code. But listen, the CMA exam doesn't care if you know how to write code. They care that you know how to test it. You absolutely have to nail the distinction between these 3 testing levels. First up, unit testing. This is just looking at isolated individual code snippets. Then we zoom out to system testing, which evaluates how all those separate modules actually function together as one cohesive system. And third, we have user acceptance testing, or UAT, where real end users test actual real-world accounting scenarios. And guys, this brings us to one of the biggest, most common pitfalls on the exam. Never, ever skip UAT on an exam question. The CMA heavily emphasizes that actual end users, meaning accountants like you, must formally sign off during this phase before any system goes live. No sign-off, no deployment. It's that simple. All right, let's dive into Phase 5, conversion and implementation strategies. We've reached the climax of our roadmap. I need you to pay super close attention here, because this is arguably the highest frequency tested area in this entire section. When you're ready to ditch the old legacy system for the new one, there are 4 primary conversion strategies you've got to memorize. First is parallel conversion, running both systems side by side. It's super low risk, but extremely expensive and basically doubles your workload. Second is direct cutover. This is ripping off the Band-Aid, turning the old off and the new on. It's fast, it's cheap, but man, is it risky. Third is phased, where you roll out by module, like General Ledger first, then AP. It manages risk nicely, but requires some pretty complex technical linkages. Finally, pilot conversion introduces the whole system to just one single location first, so if it blows up, the problem is contained, even though it extends your overall timeline. So how do they actually test this on exam day?
When you're tackling multiple choice questions, you want to be a detective. Look for clues in the scenario to match the company's risk tolerance and budget to the correct strategy. Say a company has a tiny budget, but they're okay with high risk, direct cutover is your answer. On the flip side, if a company has literally zero risk tolerance, think of a heavily regulated bank, and they have plenty of money, parallel conversion is an absolute must.
And finally, Phase 6, controls, covering operations and maintenance. We made it. The system is finally live. But once it enters its normal operating state, we have to look at our last major ICMA favorite, internal controls. As a future management accountant, controls are your bread and butter. The crucial post-go-live controls you need to know include post-implementation reviews. This is basically checking if the system actually achieved the ROI we promised way back in Phase 1. You also need really strict change management. Any future tweaks to the system have to be formally requested, tested in a staging area, explicitly approved by management, and thoroughly documented.
Now, all of this builds to what is arguably our most critical control rule of all, segregation of duties. You absolutely must ensure proper segregation by keeping your development, testing, and production environments completely separate. Programmers should never, and I mean absolutely never, have the ability to directly alter code in the live production environment. If they do, that is a massive red flag for fraud and total system failure.
Okay, let's take a deep breath and recap our whiteboard journey today. The SDLC is a seamless flow. It kicks off with planning and feasibility to ensure the project actually makes financial sense. Then we flow right into systems analysis to define the what and systems design for the how. From there, we hit development and testing, and remember, we are never skipping UAT. Next up is implementation, where we strategically choose our conversion method based on our budget and risk. And finally, we land in operations and maintenance, where we lock things down with strict internal controls. You are now fully equipped to conquer these concepts and rack up those points on your exam. Keep that momentum going with your practice questions. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. Are you ready to use this knowledge, not just to pass a test, but to guarantee a flawless system upgrade in your actual finance career? Because mastering these concepts isn't just about getting those 3 letters after your name. It's about becoming the strategic financial leader your organization desperately needs. You've got this. Happy studying, and I will see you next time.